Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Think Tank Sports. Think Tank Sports, where we think and you listen. Check us out on the socials, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Listen to us on Anchor or wherever you get your podcasts. And, well, watch one of us, I guess, on YouTube. This is a technology issue filled podcast where my video is not working. So you have a wonderful photo mosaic that one of my sons did, my oldest son did, as a school project. So there you go. You get me in a different media format, I guess. But we're still out there on YouTube, and you got Mike, and you could see him and all his antics, and I can do all kinds of antics and you can't see anything. So I don't know if that's good for you, bad for you, or whatever, but that's where we're at. Yeah, so the football season is almost over. Yeah, people are getting sad about that, but excuse me, we are here to talk about the conference championship games, one horrible blowout and one close game. Yeah, but first and foremost, Mike, how the heck are you?
Dave, I'm doing good. I'm going to guess your video is having issues with the cold, even though it's not as cold as it's going to be here. From Thursday when we go to bed until Sunday morning, at least here in the Capital District of New York, it's not going to get above zero. And Saturday night, they're going for a -30 around here. So,
oh my goodness, it's
we're
not supposed to
down
be
the hatches, to say the least. Yeah,
a
it's only a
negative.
couple of days. We'll be fine.
-2 is what they're saying here Saturday, but we are supposed to have a high of 19.
Oh, all right. Good for you. A little heat wave out there in central New York.
Heat wave. Yep.
No heat wave there in Philadelphia, where the Eagles just put it on a Niners team that obviously at the most important position in football were 5 deep and struggling. Brock Purdy, as you guys know, tears his UCL or separates it, whatever, badly injures his UCL on a good hit, but by Hassan Reddick, and only throws 2 passes at that point in the game. And then sleepy Josh Johnson of 14 teams comes in.
Sleepy Josh Johnson.
Dave, let me ask you this. How many seconds would they have to add to the play clock for Josh Johnson to get a playoff on time?
Oh, at least another 40. I mean, it was brutal.
Right.
I know the crowd was loud in Philadelphia. Yep. You could definitely hear that. But again, like you said, he's played on 14 teams. It's not as if he's not played in an NFL game before.
And I understand you weren't planning on playing. You were brought up as a, extreme emergency situation, which, happened early in the game. And, you're not into it, but you would think the adrenaline was like he took an Ambien or 2 and it had just kicked in when the game started. It was bad. And then the poor guy gets concussed for all of his efforts. And the league calls, the independent doctor calls him out of the game. And the Niners were screwed, Dave. I mean, they did a little wildcat action with McCaffrey, and he threw that one pass that was abominable, to borrow a phrase in the winter. But there's not much they could do. So I don't really have a lot to say about this game. I don't know. I still don't know what Philly is. You know what I mean? Yeah, their defense, their pass rush, they now have 4 guys with 10 sacks or more on the season, which is incredible. Their offensive line is, if not the best in the league, right there. But still, we just don't know. It seems like Hurts and A.J. Brown haven't connected in a couple of games, but have they really had to?
No,
it's just tough.
No.
But for this game in particular, Dave, what were your thoughts? Did you feel bad for the Niners? Did you feel good about the Eagles coming out of it? What'd you think about this game?
Yeah, I definitely felt bad for the 49ers. I mean, you get to the championship game. Sure, there's a possibility, though, in every game that somebody big gets hurt. I think, oh yeah, it hurts because it was what, like the first drive.
Right.
It's not like it happened, three, into the third quarter. It was
Mhm.
right out of the gate. So I think that was really challenging. Their defense though kept them in the game,
Sure.
and it was one of those things like you're just waiting. Can Josh Johnson just complete a couple of passes? They were able, the Niners, for a good portion, were able to run the ball. But they just, eventually they keyed on it because they weren't throwing any passes.
Yeah, let's
And
not forget at the end of the first half, what if that fumble doesn't happen at the end of the quarter there, second quarter,
yeah,
it could be a one-score game going into halftime. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So it wasn't like the defense got blown out by the Eagles. And let's face it, the one touchdown by the Eagles at that point to Devontae Smith should not have been. The
yep.
ball clearly hit the ground. And what was Shanahan doing not challenging that play? When you see a wide receiver jump up that just caught the ball, quote unquote, telling your team to hustle and huddle like that,
Yeah,
you know, you don't want to be faked out and look like a fool. I get that. And it was a tough angle on the replay. They didn't even show it nationally until, back from commercial 2 plays later. So, but still, Shanahan's got to be, somebody's got to be on that in the booth or something.
yeah, yeah. The only
To
thing
challenge
that
that.
I heard, and it was, like you just said, they didn't show the replay
Hmm.
until, much later coming out of commercial. But you have to believe they were showing replay in the stadium,
Right.
where certainly, the coach can look up and see it, and also react to what his players said.
Right.
Um, as far as that goes. Yeah, I mean, that definitely, it's a big, criticism of Kyle Shanahan right there. Um,
It didn't matter, but
it
still,
didn't matter,
in a
but
different game, it would have mattered for sure.
yeah, I mean, does that change things? Then
Hmm.
it's a scoreless game when Brock Purdy gets hurt, and
Right.
you know, it
And
just,
that fumble still makes a one-score game,
yeah. I mean, you
going
don't
into
know how
halftime.
everything goes from there, but you could
Right.
say it's a little bit closer. Maybe, D'Amico Ryans designed something different on defense because it's a little bit closer game and there's some big play that changes it. Excuse me. I mean, you don't know, and we'll
Right.
never know, but,
Right.
yeah, definitely, Kyle Shanahan's not new at this, right? I mean,
You
this is
wouldn't
not
think.
a new coach.
Maybe you should hire
But we
his
continue to
father
see,
as time manager or something.
but we
Um,
continue to see the struggles
bef-
there. And as far as the Eagles go, um, they're still just the offensive line and dominating on the ground. 44 carries, 148 yards, and the 4 rushing touchdowns.
right.
Hurts wasn't great. He didn't have to be.
No.
But in a big game early on, I mean, he had AJ Brown open deep and he overthrew him.
Oh yeah. No, that wasn't a great throw.
You
I mean,
know,
he's only got a couple hundred yards, if I'm not mistaken, on like
yeah, 120,
240 in the two
121. Yeah,
games
yeah,
in the
it's
playoffs.
very minimal. But again,
But you didn't
he
have
hasn't
to.
need to. Right.
Right. Right. The fact that they were getting yards out of Gainwell, I mean, that kid played well as their third running back. They ended up giving him 14 carries for 48 yards. Uh, nice little backfield. Philadelphia, we were on them early and often in the summer, Dave.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they're obviously a great football team, and they're being punished in the public a little bit for playing the schedule that was in front of them.
Yeah.
But it's also true. I still don't know if they're a good, really good football team. I know they're good. Um, Obviously, they're in the Super Bowl, so things are going there. They're having a good season, but I still don't know where they. If I had to place them, let's say they go ahead and win the Super Bowl,
Mm-hmm.
where would I put them in the 57 Super Bowl winners as far as the quality of their team? I don't know. Right now, I don't know, middle of the pack, slightly ahead. We
Yeah,
just
but
don't know.
yeah. I
They
mean,
don't have a foe. They haven't had a foe that would say, "Wow, that's a really good football team." Until the Super Bowl, they're going to see them, but we'll
yeah,
get there.
and we'll see. They gave up
Mhm.
what 7 points to the Giants,
Mhm.
7 points to the
7 points.
49ers.
Right.
You know, if they're able to hold Kansas City down point wise,
Right.
then you can start to say, okay, you know, they've hung their hat on their defense all
Right.
year.
They're going to climb that tier
Right.
quickly.
That'll go
Yeah.
up. I think
Right.
the challenge is some of the greater teams of all time have had tremendous quarterback play. Again,
Mhm.
the Eagles haven't needed it, but Jalen Hurts also hasn't provided it. And
And
so
some of the great teams of all time have had foes. Like you think about the Dallas teams that had to beat the Niners, you know, and the Bears at that time going in. You know,
mhm.
it just goes back all the way. Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cowboys, you know, in the 70s and on and on and on. This Eagles team just doesn't have it. Real quick before we leave this game, Anita Baker singing the national anthem, Dave. First of all, why in Philadelphia are you bringing in a Detroit native to sing national anthem? Secondly, Anita Baker at 77 years old, probably not the most contemporary choice you could have made. Thirdly, Wolf on the national anthem. Wolf.
Wow.
Not good.
I missed it. I did not catch it. So sounds like I wasn't missing much.
Carl Lewis, Roseanne Barr, those guys are safe as far as all time worse, but
yeah,
as far as a serious effort that yielded, yeah, Wolf.
You know, the game's bad when we're talking about who
Well,
sang the national anthem and how awful it was. That really should sum it up for you, people. If you haven't picked up what we're putting down here in the first 10 minutes or so, there it is.
I mean, I know Jay-Z's management company is doing all the musical acts now for the NFL for the last couple of years, and I know Anita Baker's like an original queen and deserves respect.
Yep.
But somebody should have run her through the national anthem 3-4 times before she got out there. You could literally see the cobwebs and dust coming out of her lungs. But we'll move on. Yeah, it was bad, buddy.
Yeah.
Nick Sirianni he's vastly becoming a number one villain in my mind. He's just so douchey. I mean, he just looks like a douche. I don't know. His favorite joke, dad joke, is what sound does a water truck and a vinegar truck make when they collide? A douche. Get it?
Wow.
Yeah. That's his favorite dad joke, Nick Sirianni. It's not me. Don't look at me. Don't at me, people.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, his post-game interview. I haven't heard him talk that much this year. I was less than impressed. We'll just leave it right.
Let's get to a game
there.
With an epic post-game interview we'll get to in 20 minutes or so.
Yeah,
but Dave, this Bengals Chiefs matchup really lived up to the hype. I thought, as far as it was certainly the best played game we've seen in 2 weeks, but that's really a low bar to hurdle there.
It really is.
But when you have, you know, what the 1 and 2 quarterbacks in the league now with Burrow and Mahomes going at it, it was just really well played overall. Dave, let's just do ourselves a favor. Let's take 5 minutes to complain about the refs now, and then we can not talk about it as we talk about the game. What do you think?
Oh, so many.
Phantom play.
It's the phantom play, which they later said. Yeah, which they literally said later. The explanation was that you know, the referee said start the clock on my whistle, but it was an incomplete pass, and so the clock shouldn't have started until the snap. But the play happens anyway. The whole play happens, and then it stops, and everybody's like, what the heck is going on? Everybody's all over the place. And then they pull back to like the camera from the top of the stadium.
Right.
And you see, the blimp view, basically, where everybody's like a dot, and here's a striped dot that comes out, you know, that no one sees, like trying to like stop the play. To me, you just go, okay, the play happened.
Right.
And move on. No, instead, now the play doesn't happen. Everybody's confused.
And poor Taylor, Zach Taylor, the coach. I mean, what's he going to do? All he
Yeah.
could do is flip out. I mean,
Yeah. There was literally nothing else you can do.
Right. You can't argue with the sideline judge because he certainly didn't make the call. The referee, this was called in the booth, in the shadows, buzz down. I guess I
You
don't
can't
know
challenge it. What are you going to challenge?
Right. I don't know how vigorously that back judge came running into and blowing his whistle. Obviously, it's super loud in there, and it was a big play. But maybe he can catch some heat for that. But other than that, I mean, really, Zach Taylor, all he can do is swear, and that's what he was doing. I mean, what else are you going to do? Like you said, can't review it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a horrible, horrible spot.
Luckily
no for the
points.
Bengals, nothing happened. They were able to hold them, and
luckily for the NFL more than the Bengals.
That could have been really, really ugly. As it is, just
so
it's
that's
just
late
interesting.
In the third quarter, right?
And it just, it felt like there were not so many penalties in the first half, and then you get to the second half and they're kind of calling everything.
I mean,
and there was a bunch of things that weren't called that were really obvious, like the block in the back on the the punt return, which was so obvious right out in front of everything, doesn't get called and changes the whole complexion of the game.
Oh, the punt return won the game. We'll get there.
But I think we were talking about the officials, like
penalty, right? The taunting penalty on the Kansas City lineman was, I thought, terrible. I mean, it's the conference championship game. They're excited. The guy
it didn't look.
I don't know what he said. He must have said something just absolutely horrible because he didn't hit the guy. He wasn't in his face.
I
mean, he went towards him.
And I think that's probably where they call it. I think,
probably, but
the change over the last few years has been, you can't do things at someone. Now, I thought, maybe he wasn't like totally obviously going at the player from the other team, but maybe he said that his player's name and indicated, as opposed to just saying, that's what I'm talking about, but that's what I'm talking about, you. And that's my interpretation. I think it was because it was gesture,
whatever followed that you
toward someone. Right. And we don't need to repeat.
And then
we don't know.
We do have to give them credit where credit's due. The last call on the roughing the passer out of bounds, or the roughing the on Osai, the rookie from the Bengals, great call. I mean, that gets called 101 times out of 100. There's just no.
And the people out there, and there are people out there saying you can't call that. Well, that's garbage.
Right.
That's garbage. He's got both feet out of bounds.
Both feet on the white. Yep.
It's just a play you can't make. It's just that you just can't do it. You have to be thinking. This is a rookie who made big plays in this game.
He had a good game. Very good
and he
game.
had a big play, 2 plays before that?
Yep.
So you figure he's fired up, but
what about his jackass teammate?
You got to be under control.
It's jackass teammate in the tunnel after the game. Did you see this on social media, Dave?
I did not.
He's yelling in that space between the field and when you get in the locker room door, where they have a camera.
Yep.
And this guy, 57, I don't remember his name. I wish I looked it up. He's yelling, "Osai, why'd you touch that quarterback? You effed up. You ruined the game." And he's yelling, top of his lungs, in that. I mean, this poor kid's devastated on the sideline.
Oh, God, they showed him forever.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, you can't.
Was that it on the refs on this game, I guess?
Yeah, I think so. It's just, I'm sure there's other ones where we kind of hit the big ones. It's you don't want, and we've said this over the years, and people, this, you don't want the officials to be the story of the game. And for a good part of it, they were. Now, did they ultimately impact, the outcome,
Eh? You're going with eh?
I mean, it's a bit like when you come down to it, like, the penalty, the personal foul, they have to call it, but they missed the block in the back.
Right.
So, on the punt return, yeah. I mean, they
Yeah.
definitely affected the game. But at least, I guess what I was trying to say is at least it was not like at the last play of the game.
Right. That's true. That's true. So we get into the fourth quarter here. The score is 20-13 Chiefs. Chiefs punt after a long drive that really doesn't yield anything. 8 plays and 18 yards. And then Joe Burrow gets the ball and 5 plays, 18 yards, throws an interception on the tip drill, Dave.
Yeah.
Where the ball's, tipped in the air, and the Chiefs cornerback Williams is there in the right spot and catches it and falls down. So I really thought when that drive started, though, like, here we go. And your boy Tony Romo, who did not have a great day, by the way.
Really? Shocker.
Behind the microphone. Right.
You
I don't
like
know what
you
he
like
was-
the Michael Jordan, Clyde Drexler 1992 NBA Finals reference? No, that was so horrible that was not relevant. The connection was terrible.
Right.
Anyways, move on.
Yeah, no, he totally couldn't make the connection. But this drive started where what with the tip drill interception with Burrow, I really thought also was going to make, one of those championship drives that we often talk about.
Mhm.
And that, I got to say, it's bad luck. I don't think it was a bad throw. Ball just kind of bounced off the receiver Higgins' hand. Should he have caught it? He should have at least knocked it down, probably. And then it was just, tip drill, bad luck. From there, what did you think?
This is this one I thought,
No, that's why.
I'm thinking about the play again.
Yeah, I think it was
It's definitely
like a
definitely
post
T
route.
Higgins.
Yeah, the post route and the safety came in, and it was like Higgins, the ball, and the safety all got there at the same time. The safety knocks it in the air, and then Williams catches it like on the sideline.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's tough. It was
Just came at a
third.
tough
It was
time in the
third
game.
and 3.
Right.
So why? I think for me that was the thing. 3rd and 3, 7 minutes to go. Like, why are you throwing deep there?
Yeah, I guess I would criticize
get it.
Cincinnati for not running the ball enough, and that's a great spot and a point you're making that, a 3rd and 3, the way your line's been playing, especially, giving up. And Chris Jones was a problem for sure.
Yeah.
And, giving up pressure on Burrow, and we'll see later they're going to give up a big sack. Throw a little run and maybe go for it on 4th down, but they didn't. Mixon only had 8 carries for 19 yards. P. Ryan 5 for 22. And then Burrow 4 for 30. So not established the run at all. And that's a situation like you were just alluding to that they should have run the ball.
Yeah, I think it's tough. They're on their own 36. So that's even another reason. Why are you throwing it deep?
Right.
It's at this point, it's a tie game. Like,
right.
Try to get the 1st down instead of, so now it ends up, with a good tackle there, and Kansas City gets pinned back, at their own 18. But so as we break it down, I'm not crazy about the play call. There's 2 defenders there when the ball gets there. So,
yeah, it's tough.
Dial up something shorter. Like, I just don't think that's the spot to be throwing deep.
I agree with that. That's a good astute observation. But they do go down. The Bengals do, and get a touchdown. So it's tied at 20 in the 4th. And then the last drive, Dave. Was there any doubt in your mind that Kansas City was going to score?
Oh, certainly not after the punt return. They had the ball at midfield.
Right.
I mean,
That punt return was, that's Ray McLeod, right?
yes.
Yeah. Former Steeler, just unbelievable effort. And then the penalty we already discussed at the end of it. And then Buckner comes out. Now, before the penalty, what did they say? It was going to be like a 57-yarder. That kick was not going to be good for 57 yards, Dave.
No, and that was another interesting piece too, because, they're talking about, and Jay Feely, changing his tune, right? He earlier in the game said, oh, the kickers, they didn't make it from beyond 50. So, they need to get to the 32, and then later when they're looking at this, oh, they can kick it from the 35. Like, Jay Feely, don't change just stick to your guns there. Yeah, I think it may have been even as long as a 59 yarder. But it's a tie game.
Right. Right. Kansas City wouldn't have had anything to lose by trying up that long field goal unless it was so short that, since he could have ran it back a la, Alabama and Auburn, several years ago.
Yeah.
I don't think the broadcast did a good job describing the wind and the weather all game. Like, it was obvious when those kicks went up, they were being affected by the wind. And, Butker in a dome could kick a 60-yarder, right?
Sure.
Right. So.
Oh, and McPherson probably too.
Oh, right. So this 45-yarder that he kicks to win the game, even when it went through, the mascot was right under the field goal post, and he ran on the field, but then he looked at the refs like he wasn't even sure, or she, whoever's in the costume, whether it actually went across the crossbar or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was that close. But they win it. Chiefs win it. Chiefs win. No overtime. Anything else on the game before we talk about post-game antics?
Yeah, I mean, it really felt like the game was going to go to overtime. Again, Cincinnati has the ball at the end there. Really felt like, they were going to just drive down, get the touchdown, or get, at least get into field goal range. And even that doesn't happen. Right. I know for me as a Bills fan, it was shocking to see how porous at times the Cincinnati offensive line was, considering, the week before when they had the guys starting and Buffalo couldn't touch Joe Burrow.
Think about that game. They ran the ball so well and in the snow.
Yeah.
Against your line, and didn't even try in this game.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's interesting. Certainly tough loss for Cincinnati, but they're right there. They had a chance to win. They had a chance to go to the Super Bowl. And that's, from a team perspective, I think you want that. Obviously, they'd want to go back, but they had a chance to go to the Super Bowl. And I think, they'll probably say a little bit, well, we didn't get where we wanted to, but, from a overall, unbiased perspective, they had a pretty good year.
They really did. And they have announced they're here to stay. So it's a 3-team race in the AFC before spring training or, camp even starts.
Yep.
So after the game, before the game, we didn't touch on, there's a lot of back and forth between the mayor of Cincinnati for some reason, and the Chiefs, and they were calling it Burrowhead. And there was, if you listen to the broadcast, there was quite a few Bengals fans there, honestly.
You could hear them. You could definitely hear them
for sure. And Travis Kelce, who had another, great game, ties for most touchdowns in the playoffs, right? With 15, and so they're interviewing Mahomes, and you could see Kelce coming from behind, on the field, and gets on the mic and just yells, Burrow had my ass. This place belongs to this guy, and he hits him on the shoulder pads. And he said something about the Cincinnati mayor I didn't quite catch.
It was
ended all that.
It was I get there's a lot of emotion there. But it just was all obnoxious. It just felt so obnoxious.
Very obnoxious. But Mahomes, if you listen to Mahomes, he gave Cincinnati a lot of credit. They're a good team. But then he subtly, he's like, we're not going to go smoking any cigars or doing any of the, social media stuff. We need to get ready for the game. And it just kind of like a little gut punch to
it's more than a little gut punch.
Yeah.
And can we just try to be above that? Somebody, anybody? No, you've got your two best players both firing shots at the other team. So obviously the stuff that went on with the mayor and the stuff that Cincinnati said, the players obviously bulletin board material for the Chiefs and was big motivation for them to go out and win this game.
Yeah, I guess you would wonder how much they would need, but like you said, if that's the first thing out of their mouths when the game's over, then certainly got under their skin a little bit for sure.
Yeah,
David.
No doubt.
So those are the two games. We'll be back next week with like the full Super Bowl preview. We usually do.
Yeah,
Dave, I got a couple of other little things I just have been collecting over the last few weeks here that I want to get off my plate that I think will be interesting right here.
All right.
So as the season's over now for all but two teams, here's some names, Dave, of free agents, and we'll start with quarterbacks going forward. Lamar, Geno Smith, Daniel Jones, Jimmy G, the GOAT Tom Brady, the worst Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Jacoby Brissett, and on down through a bunch of backups. There's going to be a lot of quarterback movement. And so let's specifically just take a minute to think about the Niners who lost. What are they going to do at quarterback?
It's rough. They have Brock Purdy and Trey Lance both under contract.
Right.
If Brock Purdy decides, even if he decides, they say he could be back in time, for training camp. Trey Lance, kind of the same thing, but they're going to need to have somebody else, because both of these guys are hurt. So what do they do?
Probably somebody else's.
Yeah.
To start.
They're not, I can't imagine that they're going to try Garoppolo again.
Right. They just can't, right?
No. And so it's tough because some of these, I don't even think you didn't even mention David Carr. Did you? I don't remember hearing his name.
No, I don't think I said his name. No.
But so you look at him, but he's going to want to go somewhere where he can play every down.
Yeah.
And that's not going to be San Francisco.
No.
So I think it's difficult. Jacoby Brissett, that's one I could see going to San Francisco.
Sure. For a little bit and game manage until Purdy or Trey Lance is ready.
Yep.
What about your boy Aaron Rodgers in San Francisco?
Yep.
Trade.
Yep. The trade rumors have started.
Could happen.
It could happen, but again, though, then they're going to commit to Aaron Rodgers.
Right. But they're going to have to keep somebody, Purdy probably as a backup and go from there.
Well, they're both under contract, Purdy and Lance. Sure. So
boy, what do you do with Trey Lance? Just write it off? Like, that was a bad pick.
This is why this offseason for San Francisco is going to be so fascinating. Just from that.
Wide receiver class, which I think is the best class. Well, no, second best class. Juju, Jacoby Myers, Darius Slayton, DJ Chark, Alan Lazard, Paris Campbell. It gets real thin in a hurry, so I take that back. Not the best class at all of wide receivers. So if you're banking on your team like me, we're needing receivers, you better look at the draft.
Yep. Yeah, the draft is definitely where you're going to be looking for that.
Running back, Saquon, I think the Giants are going to re-sign him. Jacobs, David Montgomery, Devin Singletary, Kareem Hunt, Raheem Mostert, Miles Sanders, Tony Pollard. So there's a loaded
Yeah.
position group here.
Mm-hmm.
Jamal Williams, Alexander Madison. It gets thin there, but still.
Yeah, but you've got 7 or 8. I mean, you're looking at 7 or 8 running backs, potentially 10 quarterbacks. Do these guys start to have conversations with each other, i.e., like LeBron and Bosch and Wade, and trying to get together on one particular team?
Mm-hmm.
Even just 2 of them.
Right.
If you think about, let's get Tony Pollard and Derek Carr and get them on a team. That's close.
Right.
I mean, that has the potential to bump some teams up. So, and the salary cap is going up now over, $16.5 million more than it was, this last year. So teams are going to have more room to do contracts for those folks. So yeah, it is going to be a fascinating offseason.
And now's the point in our show, folks, where I test David's NFL knowledge.
Oh boy.
Devonta Smith, wide receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles. Stop me if you've heard this already today. Has the potential to be the 5th person to win the Heisman Trophy, the College Football National Championship, and a Super Bowl. Can you name me the other 4, David?
College football, Super Bowl.
Do you want this?
Football, Super Bowl. Not Marcus Allen.
Yes, Marcus Allen.
Okay. All right. I was like, I knew the Super Bowl. I was trying to think about the college piece. Was
1978 national champion USC.
With USC. Yep.
He was a freshman, probably didn't even play, and then won.
But he's on the team.
Right.
Yep. Oh, Heisman.
Second name is same college, different era.
Heisman, college football, Super Bowl. God, I'm thinking it's a quarterback.
Interestingly enough, no quarterbacks on this list.
Not Charles White.
Nope. But he played with him. Has a famous game named after him in Notre Dame.
Wow, I'm drawing a blank on that one.
The Bush Push, Reggie Bush.
Oh, Reggie Bush.
Saints, national champions USC, 2005 or 6 Heisman.
Yep.
Since redacted, but
yeah,
we don't acknowledge the redaction.
Yep.
It happened. Third person on this list, also a running back. Played mostly in the 80s for America's team.
I was going to say Herschel Walker.
Nope.
Or not Herschel. Oh, Tony Dorsett. Tony Dorsett.
And then the last one, a non-offensive player.
Not Hugh Green.
Nice name, though. Strong pull.
Yep.
This gentleman played with the Green Bay Packers and the University of Michigan Wolverines.
Oh, Desmond Howard.
The other one, Woodson.
Oh,
Charles
Woodson.
National champion 97, Super Bowl XLV, 97 Heisman. I thought that was a pretty cool list. That's a cool list. That's a good piece of NFL trivia to know, too. People will be impressed that you know that, I think. Lastly, Dave, let's wrap it up with this. Final attendance leaders for the 2022 NFL season, regular season. Any guess at the number one team?
I feel like I saw this. Wasn't it the Colts?
Nope. We talked about a few weeks ago. We talked about percentage of capacity for
Oh, that's
NFL
what that
attendance,
was.
and the
Yeah, yeah,
Colts
yeah.
were number one in
The
that.
Colts are number one. That's the one I was thinking of.
This number one attendance will be obvious to you because of the sheer capacity of the stadium.
Oh, Dallas, the
Right.
Cowgirls.
841,192. Almost got a milli through there.
Wow.
That's impressive.
Hmm.
Number two.
The Chiefs.
The New York Football Giants.
Wow.
688,266. So 160,000 less than the Cowboys.
Number two. That shocks me.
I
I know they obviously, the Giants were
when they're
good, and
when they're good, people show up. I mean,
but
we went when they were terrible last year, and they were 40,000 there, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
37,000,
yeah.
like that.
I just would have thought some of the other teams would have been better.
Packers are 3, Rams 4, Niners 5, Panthers 6. I was surprised by that. Eagles, Falcons, Jets, Bucks in the top 10. I only have the top 10, so I don't have your Bills, buddy.
Yeah, which is surprising because
what's the capacity
I
there?
believe the Bills' capacity is higher than MetLife.
Is it?
I think so, because I don't even think MetLife is 70.
No. You know what we have, Dave, is computers
internet.
that, yes. They're
And the Bills, I think it's 76 or 77,000. I don't believe MetLife is that big. I think it's like 65 or
Highmark Stadium is capacity of 71,608.
71. Okay.
And
this is how research gets done, folks. So pay attention.
and Giant Stadium is 80,242.
Wow.
So almost 10,000 a game.
Okay.
More.
I sit corrected because I'm not standing.
I lean to the right, corrected, because I'm not standing, and I lean to the right when I said it.
Yeah.
That's it, Dave. Thanks for letting us see the mosaic.
Yeah.
It's been, therapy inducing session here. Think Tank Sports, but it was good. Nice to have a Super Bowl set. Like I said, we're going to get into our laboratories here and put a preview together that, will include, position groups and coaches and
prop bets,
some funny stuff, some serious stuff, all that good stuff. Oh, all our conspiracy theory friends can now relax because Hamlin is alive. He did a nice little thank you for all the support message. So if you haven't seen that, go search it out on your Google machines or on Twitter. We will get some polls out there heading into the Super Bowl for sure. So check us out on Twitter, Facebook, and the Insta, as the kids say. Download, like, and subscribe. Give us some comments, some feedback. We're here to bring you some entertainment and some analysis and some deeper think about these games. And we're glad you're listening. Thank you for that here at Think Tank Sports, where we think and you listen as we strive for 5.